universities, education system, with how much of a good intention at the top level, have become the centers of complete bureaucratic stagnation. Now, you're more busy, our institutions are more busy in monitoring whether somebody comes at 9 o'clock or 9:30, whether there should be applied leave or not. But nobody is asking what's the outcome. I remember in a private function you're referring to, it is not about what policies that we are adopting. In 90s, what was the quality of the students, and today what's the quality of the students because of the EMR or adjustment. And what happened to these human beings and what is the quality? I think we will not be able to take best answers. And with the chiti of, what in the LG, it was NVC from the top of the art. Then I think we looked at our institutions. So the second part, I wanted to one is to create a new institutional structure in such a way that the Bharatiya forms of learning is one part. And second, our universities have to be Indianized. Now, what does it mean in universities? Whether it is no matter what it comes. One of the most important learning processes that we have in Indian best from the learners that you could imagine comes from Guru Shishya Parampara. There is a particular relation between Guru, committing himself for transforming the student's life, and how engages in not just subject matter content teaching, but to actually emulate the life of a great being. Now, in our administrative structure, the way we organize our course, and the way we stabilize our daily routines, there is hard relationship between university. It's radical that we need to rethink about it. And what you have done is substantially fascinating so far, because 10 years back, universities almost have become the space where we couldn't even breathe. There was hostility for our culture. From there we have come where we can disagree, we can talk, there is freedom, there is autonomy, but mind you, autonomy is also a question that requires to be interpreted, that needs to be thought properly. Now, this conference itself was struck with the question of autonomy, and I think there are any number of instances that are happening, and there are vice chancellors, they keep telling me that they are actually caught by bureaucracy, and their autonomy is actually curtailed even despite having so much of power enacted by the Act. I think there is something fundamentally structural rethinking that we need to do, which requires with a couple of fundamental questions. I don't mind even if it takes 5 years, 10 years for us to rethink about these ideas is, what does it mean to think of institution, in the backdrop of Chiti? How do we really make sure that we, as Indians, we have a Swabhava and we manifest it in education institution in such a way that it actually makes me swear it is towards myself and not the para. So now we are caught in Paratantra. Therefore, I think my humble request would be that I'm sure you have multiple plans to textbook, to handling new institutional structure after UGC, all that you have. I mean, I have no fights with that because institutions must run, but I think we should start a parallel track of reflection where we build a new system. One, we legitimize our forms of knowledge production reflection. Second, we Indianize our institution. Now, this is a parallel process. This is a continuously evolving process. And we need to ask this question, whether each institution in the institutional structure of education is committed to the goal of our Chiti. If we take that question, I think we would be doing a wonderful job. And I'm sure, I mean, you have been thinking about Ekatma much before I could even, comprehend. And in your leadership, I would like to believe that you will be able to initiate this task, and by 2035, we would start a new path of reconfiguring, institutional structure for Indian education, specifically in higher education. So with that words, I would stop my case here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. M.S. Chaitra. It is now time for the keynote address. I most respectfully invite the Honorable Union Minister, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji, to share his vision on shaping the future of higher education through Bharat's Worldview.
नमस्कार। इस 3 दिवसीय राष्ट्रीय विमर्श में मंच पे उपस्थित कर्नाटक स्टेट ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी के माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर शरणप्पा जी, मेरे मित्र डॉक्टर एस चैत्रा जी, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन के ट्रस्टी तथा कर्नाटक के वरिष्ठ अधिकारी श्री एम मदन गोपाल जी, हम सभी के प्रेरक आदरणीय रघुनंदन जी और यहाँ उपस्थित कई विश्वविद्यालय की आदरणीय वाइस चांसलर्स, एकेडमिशियंस, विद्यार्थी मित्र और आप सभी महानुभाव, मैं आप सबको इस ज्ञान की नगरी, बौद्धिक नगरी मैसूर में इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रम का आयोजन करने के लिए, विशेष करके जब एकात्म मानव दर्शन की प्रस्फुटन की 60वीं साल हम मना रहे हैं, उस समय में ये तीन संस्था प्रज्ञा प्रवाह, ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी और श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन, तीनों ने एक महत्वपूर्ण दायित्व निभाया है, वो भी मैसूर में। श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी की 60 साल पहले जो उद्बोधन हुई थी, जिसको हम एकात्म मानव दर्शन के रूप में हम सभी उसको अध्ययन कर रहे हैं, अनुभव कर रहे हैं और प्रैक्टिस भी कर रहे हैं। इस समूह के सामने एकात्म मानव दर्शन की पहले स्थिति क्या थी? हम सभी लोग, जिसके बारे में मेरे मित्र चैत्रा जी एक ऑल्टरनेटिव मॉडल ऑफ एजुकेशन फॉर्म, जो हमारी भारतीय सभ्यता की मूल आधार था, उन्होंने अपने एक इंटेलेक्चुअल एक्सपेक्टेशन और नैरेटिव बनाई है कि हमें पुराने धारा में जाने से हमें बहुत बड़ा आउटकम नहीं मिलेगा, हमें एक नया सृजन की आवश्यकता है। मैं उसको थोड़ा मेरे ढंग से कहूं, नया सृजन से ज़्यादा इस सभ्यता को पिछले कई हजारों साल से जिस विचारों ने, जिस चिंता ने, जिस तत्व ने आगे बढ़ा रहा है, समय के हिसाब से उसकी रूप बदलता है। कभी उसको इन दिनों में पिछले 1-2 सदी में स्वामी विवेकानंद जी ने, श्री अरविंद ने, रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर जी ने, महात्मा गांधी जी ने, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी ने और 60 साल पहले उसी विचार को दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जी ने एक समय अनुयायी, आजादी के उपरांत तो उनको लगा कि एक भारतीय दार्शनिक विचार होनी चाहिए जो समाज नीति के लिए, अर्थनीति के लिए और पब्लिक पॉलिसी के लिए, राजनीति के लिए आवश्यक है। उन्होंने एकात्म मानव दर्शन की व्याख्यान किया। मित्रों, आज भी वो विषय प्रासंगिक है, मैसूर में ज़्यादा प्रासंगिक है। मैं स्वभाव से अप्लाइड पार्ट की ज़्यादा विश्वासी हूँ। कोई भी तत्व का, कोई भी थॉट की, कोई भी प्रवाह की एक कृतिरूप रहता है, एक प्रैक्टिस रहता है। कृतिरूप सामान्य लोगों के द्वारा होती है। एक विचार को एक माइक्रोस्कोपिक माइनॉरिटी एनविजन करता है। एनविजन जितना सरल भाषा में होती है, सोसाइटी, समाज उसको उतना बढ़िया से प्रैक्टिस करता है। मेरे एक अनुभव से मैं एक सामान्य तरीके से लोगों को इस विषय को रखता हूं। रामायण को वाल्मीकि जी ने लिखा, आचार्य तुलसी ने उसको लोक भाषा में समाज को समझाया। ऐसे ही आज आवश्यकता है भारतीय विचार दर्शन को लोक भाषा में समझाएंगे और उसकी ज़्यादातर दायित्व तो भारत की शिक्षा जगत की है। सामान्य विद्यार्थी, सामान्य समाज जिस विषय को अभ्यास करे और उसको प्रैक्टिस में परिवर्तित करे, वही सही आवश्यकता, सही जरूरत है भारत की वैश्विक के विचार को आगे रखने के लिए। मित्रों, मैं मैसूर में एक विषय याद दिलाना चाहता हूं। आप कल्पना करिए, आज से 100 साल, जिसमें कि भारत की विचारधारा एक निरंतर प्रवाह है, समय समय से उसकी नई रूप आती है। 100 साल पहले इस धरती में क्या हो रहा था? मैसूर की राजा वाड़ियर राजवंशज कृष्णराज महाशय ने, जो आज हम पब्लिक पॉलिसी के नाते भारत में प्रैक्टिस कर, उसको 100 साल पहले इस मैसूर में उन्होंने किया था। सिंचाई, इरिगेशन की, बिजली आवश्यकता की, अर्बन फैसिलिटी की, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस जैसे इंडस्ट्री बनाने में, या कृष्णराज सागर डैम या वाणी विलास सागर जैसे महत्वपूर्ण इरिगेशन प्रोजेक्ट को उन्होंने एनविजन किया था। और उन्होंने आदरणीय श्री एम विश्वेश्वरैया जैसे भारत की शिल्पी को प्रोत्साहित करके इस काम पे उसको इंप्लीमेंट कराया था। यह सब तब संभव हुई थी, उनको स्वामी विवेकानंद जी ने प्रेरणा दिया था। भारत आजाद होगा, मनुष्यों ने, ऋषियों ने उसको आगे देखा था, उसी को आगे बढ़ाते उन्होंने कहा जब भारत आजाद हो जाएगा, भारत की व्यवस्थाएं कैसे होगी। मैसूर महाराजा ने उसकी एक कृति रूप, एक अप्लाइड पार्ट इस मैसूर में प्रैक्टिस किया था। आज हम 100 साल के बाद स्वच्छता की बात कहते हैं, शहरों की स्वच्छता के लिए हम प्रतियोगिता करके सम्मानित करते हैं। आज भी मैसूर में हर एक रास्ता 4 लेन है। भारत में नेशनल हाईवे जब 4 लेन बनती है, मैसूर ने एक विजन की दृष्टि से या विचार की दृष्टि से शहर कैसे होगी, शहर की पर्यावरण कैसे होगी, शहर की ग्रीनरी कैसे होगी, ये सारे चीजों को आज से 100 साल पहले सोचा था। मित्रों, यही है भारतीय जीवन दर्शन। और हमारे सामने आज चुनौती और ज्यादा है। जब हम इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को आयोजन कर रहे हैं, इसको इंटेलेक्चुअल मूवमेंट के नाते हम उसको एक प्रयास कर रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 2047 को भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने का एक आह्वान दिया है। यह आह्वान तब पूरा हो पाएगा अगर भारत की विचार प्रभाव में शुद्धि आएगी। मित्रों, 1026 में मोहम्मद घोरी भारत को आक्रमण किए थे। सोमनाथ मंदिर में अभी अभी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री स्वतंत्रता की 1000 साल की उन्होंने उत्सव मनाने के लिए गए थे। उन्होंने इन्हीं दिनों में एक आह्वान दिया है। 1835 में तत्कालीन ब्रिटिश साम्राज्य की एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट, उस समय की विचारक अधिकारी मैकोले ने लंबे समय तक भारत को पराधीन करने की एक मॉडल बनाई। पिछले 200 साल ने भारत में जो सबसे ज्यादा हानि किया है, भारतीयता को जिसने सबसे ज्यादा हानि किया है, वो 1000 साल में से 800 साल में जितना हानि नहीं हुई, आजादी के लगभग 80 साल के उपरांत भी हम लोग इस मैकोले माइंडसेट से बाहर नहीं आ पाते हैं। हमारी व्यवस्था एक अभारतीय प्रणाली में हमको चलाना पड़ रहा है, जिसके बारे में राष्ट्र मनुष्य ने बीच बीच में उसके बारे में याद करवाया है। राष्ट्र मनुष्यों का, राष्ट्र पुरुषों की दायित्व रहती है, वो स्वामी विवेकानंद, शंकराचार्य जी हो, बसवन्ना हो, नारायण गुरु हो, स्वामी विवेकानंद हो या दीनदयाल जी हो। मैं उस परंपरा को आप सभी लोग इस 3 दिन के अधिवेशन के माध्यम से सामने लाने की प्रयास किया है, अपने व्यवस्था को ठीक करने का आपने प्रयास किया है। 600 से अधिक डेलीगेट देश भर से आए हैं। हमें बताया गया 165 से ज़्यादा एकेडमिक पेपर एकेडमिक पेपर इस अधिवेशन में आया है। पिछले साल की ब्रुत निवेदन भी किया गया, पिछले साल की एकेडमिक कॉम्पेंडियम भी आज लोकार्पण के बारे में भी एक शोभित निकाला गया है। मित्रों, भारतीय विचार कोई नया नहीं होता है, ये नित्य नैमित्तिक दिनों में भी एक विरासत को आगे बढ़ाने का प्रयास किया गया है। पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जी ने जनसंघ का एक राजनीतिक आंदोलन को नेतृत्व करते हुए उन्होंने एक भारतीय विचार को एक राजनीतिक पार्टी की, ना केवल राजनीतिक पार्टी, एक विचार प्रवाह की कैटलिस्ट होगा, उन्होंने प्रयास किया था। हम सभी लोग एकात्म मानव दर्शन को अपने अपने ढंग से पढ़ने का प्रयास किया है, समझने का प्रयास किया है और उसको व्याख्यान करने का भी प्रयास किया है। मैं अगर एकात्म मानव दर्शन को मेरे तरीके से सामान्य ढंग से भी दिख रहा है, मनुष्य को शांति नहीं है। अभी अभी विश्व की जो स्थिति है, भारत की नहीं दुनिया की चुनौती बनी हुई है। दुनिया के अनेक इस इलाका में एक मौलिक विचार के अभाव से, स्वार्थ केंद्रित जीवन के कारण या अपने विचार के प्रति अति आग्रह के कारण आज खाड़ी के देश में हो या पाश्चात्य देश में हो, युद्ध की स्थिति बनी है। भारत के मूल विचार उसे परे हैं। सहवास में भारत की विचार विश्वास करती है, भातृत्व में भारत की विचार विश्वास करती है, एकात्मता में भारत की विचार विश्वास करती है। इसी को हमने इंटीग्रल ह्यूमनिज्म कहा, जहां व्यक्ति, समाज, प्रकृति और ब्रह्मांड एक रूप में हमने विचार किया है। हमने उसको आइसोलेशन में नहीं देखा। तो इसकी व्यवहारिकता आज समाज जीवन में सभी क्षेत्रों में, शिक्षा हो, समाज नीति हो, आचार हो, व्यवहार हो, सारे में हमारे मूल विचार कैसा है, इसके ऊपर हमारी सोच, हमारी प्रकृति के प्रति कैसे सोच हो, हमारी अर्थ व्यवहार पे हो, ज्ञान के प्रति सोच कैसे हो, विज्ञान के सोच हो, सारे की अगर हमें एकात्मक देखेंगे, अब हमें एक विखंडित सामाजिक लोगों को सामना करना पड़ेगा। विश्व एक सामग्री नहीं कारण उनको आज एक विचित्र परिस्थिति में हम लोग समझ रहे हैं। हमने हमें हमारी लोगों के निर्णय के कारण प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी एक प्रणाली चल रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के उपरांत एकात्म मानव दर्शन अनुयायी होने के नाते उन्होंने लगाया हमारी व्यवस्था सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सभी के लिए प्रयास यानी और मॉडल उनकी भी घटकों के लिए हमारी प्रणाली हमारी समाज की प्रणाली सभी के लिए होगा। और पिछले वर्ष भारत की सभी नागरिकों के लिए, भारत की सभी प्रांतों के लिए, सभी भाषाओं के लिए, सभी प्रभाव के लिए एक समान रूप में हमने काम किया है। न केवल हमारी प्रणाली भारत के लिए किया है, आवश्यकता के विश्व की जरूरतमंद लोगों के लिए चिंता किया है। इसलिए जब कोरोना की दुरावस्था आई है, उस समय विश्व की फार्मेसी हो गई। पाश्चात्य में कई संपन्न देशों ने संसाधनों से जगह का प्रयास है। भारत दर्शक का देना मेरे को अवसर मिला एक इकोनॉमिक देखने के लिए पेट्रोलियम विभाग में कमोडिटी सेंट्रिक करना, उसको बाजार में बिक्री करना, उसके मानव और भारतीय विचार प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ विकास मंत्र की विश्वास हमारे मन में आया कि हमें इसमें संपन्नता एम्पावरमेंट बढ़ेगी। भारत में कोरोना महिलाओं के लिए घरेलू उज्ज्वला योजना 10 करोड़ गरीब महिलाओं के घर में गैस करने पहुंची। आज केवल गैस कनेक्शन नहीं पहुंची है, 4 करोड़ गरीबों की सर के ऊपर छत बनी है। 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा महिलाओं की टॉयलेट बनी है। भारत की लगभग घरों में पानीय जल नलवे जल पहुंची है। मित्रों, ये इसलिए आई है, मैंने को सबने काम किया। मेरे कहूँगा कि पिछले 12 साल में अटल जी की 6 साल में काम हुई। भारत की सभी सरकारों ने समाज के लिए चिंता किया, लेकिन जब सरकार में लोग भारत के दर्शन में हो गए करके पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय तो जीवन दर्शन से प्रेरित तब एक बॉडी ऊपर काम आपको किया। मित्रों, इस विषय में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक आह्वान किया है। आने वाले 10 साल सभी भारतीयों के लिए महत्वपूर्ण। हमें मैक्रोले माइंडसेट से, साम्राज्यवादी मानसिकता से, कॉलोनियल माइंडसेट से भारत की को मुक्त करना पड़ेगा। मित्रों, ये संगठन की एक समूह की दायित्व नहीं हो सकता है। भारत में जन आंदोलन करना पड़ेगा, सामूहिक एक ग्रुप लाना पड़ेगा जिसमें चुनौती को समझा पाएंगे, जिस काम पे हम सभी लोग काम के लिए एक बढ़ता है। और मैं मानता हूं भारत की परिवर्तन की सबसे बड़ा प्रयास शिक्षा विभाग के माध्यम से होती है। आज में लगभग 25 करोड़ स्कूल में विद्यार्थी है, लगभग 5 करोड़ विद्यार्थी। उनकी पढ़ाई क्या बढ़ाते हुए संदीप बोर्ड की प्रारूप दिया है, उनका उसमें भी असहमति है। बोर्ड तो मैक्रोले मोमेंट है, पड़ता है। सही, दोनों के बीच में एक कॉन्फ्लुएंस का, हमें इसको मॉडल की अनुरूप है, हमें इसको बनानी है। समाज जिस विषय को आज कर रहा है, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 कोई कह रहा है। हमने कहा है आज कुछ प्रांतों के अंदर के अंदर एक भ्रम है। अगर हमारी बच्चे पढ़ेंगे आते हैं और होंगे। राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा कहता है प्रारंभिक अवस्था में कम से कम 5वीं कक्षा अच्छा होगा 8वीं कक्षा तक हम बच्चों को अपने भाषा में पढ़ाएंगे तो व्यक्ति की और बच्चे की सृजनात्मक थिंकिंग ही बन जाएगी, हो पाएगा। नहीं तो रट्टा मार रोड की बाई प्रोडक्ट होगा। ये बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। मैं शिक्षा सबसे बड़ी चुनौती को मानता हूँ, पढ़ाने के माध्यम को मानता हूँ। आज भी भारत में 90% विद्यार्थी मातृभाषा में नहीं पढ़ते हैं। मैं दिल्ली की एक स्कूल में भी गया हूँ, सीबीएसई बोर्ड स्कूल में भी गया हूँ, बॉम्बे में गया हूँ, बड़े शहरों में गया हूँ। मैं विद्यार्थियों में जाकर क्वेश्चन आपकी मीडियम में है, निस्संदेह बच्चे कहते हैं सीबीएसई स्कूल में कहते। फिर अगर थोड़ा मैं आगे और थोड़ा करता हूँ, आप घर में क्लासरूम विषय किस भाषा हो, मैं तेलुगु, दिल्ली में बहुभाषी लोग रहते हैं। किसी ने कहा मैं बंगाली में पूछता हूँ, किसी ने कहा मैं ओडिया में पूछता हूँ, किसी ने कहा पंजाबी में बात करते हैं घर में। दादाजी समझाने में पंजाबी भाषा में सहज होता है। तो इसी का नाम है एकत्व मानव दर्शन। मैंने कहा ना, मैं अप्लाइड एस्पेक्ट पे ज्यादा विश्वास करता हूँ। भारतीयता सामान्य कैसे समझाएंगे, उसको क्रिटिकल कैसे बनाएंगे। भारत में जिस भाषा में पहला सुनता है, अगर प्रारंभिक भाषा और पढ़ता है क्रिटिकल, उसकी क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट्स होती है। राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा उसी दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहा है। हमारी भारत में के ऊपर महत्व दिया गया था। किताबों की दक्षता क्या है? आज की शिक्षा गिरी सेंट्रिक हो गया। हमारे देश में अनेक पीएचडी होते हैं, कितने पीएचडी की आवश्यकता को ध्यान में रखते हुए होता है। इन्हीं दिनों में सुने अर्थनीति क्या है, देशों के विद्यार्थी अपने राष्ट्रीय को ध्यान में उनकी नेशनल स्टैटिक करते हुए उन्होंने अपना इसमें मैं चुनौती को सामना करना पड़ा। हमारी अनुसंधान, हमारी रिसर्च, हमारी शिक्षा पद्धति डिग्री होगा, कॉम्पिटेंस बेस्ड होगा। ये चुनौती राजनीतिक शिक्षा ने कहता है व्यवस्था कॉम्पिटेंस बेस्ड करना है। पहली बार राष्ट्रीय ने भारत प्रणाली में कील को स्पोर्ट्स को आर्ट एंड कल्चर सब्जेक्ट बनाया है। अभी 6वीं क्लास से आगे ये सारे हमारे सब्जेक्ट बनेंगे भारत में पहली बार। भारत में परीक्षा
श्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी, यूनियन मिनिस्टर ऑफ एजुकेशन, भारत सरकार, for gracing this occasion and delivering an inspiring keynote address. Ji, your insightful thoughts and visionary guidance have truly. Thank you, sir. I ex dignitaries on the dais, Sri Janappa V. Halseji, Vice Chairman Mysuru, Dr. M.S. Chaitraji, for their valuable presence and meaningful contribution to this session. My appreciation also goes to all the organizers, coordinators, volunteers whose tirelessly efforts ensure the smooth and conduct of this program. I would also like to thank all the participants and audience members for your active presence, engagement, and before I conclude, comment grant
Of 20 minutes to come back as soon as possible. The next session would be the Bharatnatyam. And there would be a talk on Vyashti and Parameshti, followed by the Bharatnatyam. I request all the delegates to come back within 15-20 minutes. Thank you.
ಇದೀಗ 20 ನಿಮಿಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಭರತನಾಟ್ಯ ಪ್ರದರ್ಶನವನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಪಾ ಪಡ್ಕೆ, ಫೌಂಡರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಇವರ ತಂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರದರ್ಶನವನ್ನು ನೀಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಪಾ ಪಡ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ನೃತ್ಯ ವಿಧ ಪ್ರಮುಖರು ಹಾಗೂ ಗಾನ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಗಂಗೂಬಾಯಿ ಹಾನ್ಗಲ್ ಸಂಗೀತ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂದರ್ಶಕರಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಲಾಗುವ ರಾಣಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಬಾಲ ವಿಕಾಸ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಯ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಪಾ ಪಡ್ಕೆ is all yours.
ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತರಂ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಪ್ರಜೆಯ ಮನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಡುವ ಹಾಡಾಗಿ, ಘೋಷಣೆಯಾಗಿ, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಚೋದನಾಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಮಸ್ತರನ್ನು ಚಳುವಳಿಯ ಹಾದಿಗೆ ಕರೆತರುವ ಅಯಸ್ಕಾಂತ ಗಾನವಾಯಿತು. ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತರಂ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಪ್ರಜೆಯ ಮನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಡುವ ಹಾಡಾಗಿ, ಘೋಷಣೆಯಾಗಿ, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಚೋದನಾಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಮಸ್ತರನ್ನು ಚಳುವಳಿಯ ಹಾದಿಗೆ ಕರೆತರುವ ಅಯಸ್ಕಾಂತ ಗಾನವಾಯಿತು.
सुजलां सुफलां कर करवाले
आवले केनो मार ये तो बरे
बहुबलधारिणी नमामि तारिणी
रिपुदल वारिणी मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं तुम्ही विद्या तुम्ही धर्मा तुम्ही हृदय तुम्ही मर्मा तुम्ही प्राणा शरीरे बाहुते तुम्ही मा शक्ती हृदये तुम्ही मा भक्ती तुम्हारा प्रतिमा घडी मंदिरे मंदिरे वंदे मातरम वंदे मातरम वंदे मातरम
वन्दी दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी वन्दी दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी वन्दी दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी त्वं हि दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी त्वं हि दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी त्वं हि दुर्गा दशप्रकरणधारिणी
महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् तन्नो लक्ष्मी
माणिक्यवीणाम् उपलालयन्तीं मदालसां मञ्जुलवाग्विलासाम् माणिक्यवीणा उपलालयन्ती मदालसां मञ्जुलवाग्विलासाम् माहेन्द्रनीलद्युति कोमलाङ्गी माहेन्द्रनीलद्युति कोमलाङ्गी मातङ्गकन्यां मनसा स्मरामि मनसा स्मरामि चतुर्भुजे चन्द्रकलावतंसे कुचोन्नते कुङ्कुमरागशोणे चतुर्भुजे चन्द्रकलावतंसे कुचोन्नते कुङ्कुमरागशोणे क्षुपाशाङ्कुश पुष्पबाणहस्ते नमस्ते जगदेक मातः
कमला कमलदला विहारिणी वाणी विद्यादायिनी नमामि त्वां नमामि कमला
ಮೂಲ ಈ ಭಾರತೀಯನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಣು ಮುಂದೆ ಸಿದ್ದು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಪಾ ತಂಡದವರು. Now I request our guest for the next session, Sri Swami Anukulanandji and Professor Neeraj Gupta ji and Dr. Hanumanthacharya Joshi ji to honor Dr. Krupa and team. Dr. Krupa Padikar, founder, director of Nrityagiri, Mysuru. ಇವರು ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ನೃತ್ಯ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಹಾಗೂ ಗಾನ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಅನ್ವಯ ಸಂಗೀತ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂದರ್ಶಕರಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ತಂಡದವರು ಕೂಡ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಶ್ರೀಯುತರು ರಾಣಿ ಚೆನ್ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾಲ್ ವಿಕಾಸ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಶ್ರೀ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅನುಕೂಲಾನಂದಜಿ, ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ನೀರಜ ಗುಪ್ತಾಜಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ honor Dr. Krupa Padikar. Once again I request all the delegates come front and sit. All the delegates are requested. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಮುಂದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸನರಾಗಬೇಕು ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. Day 2, session 3. Veshti, Paramesh, and social institutions. These are the topics that we are going to discuss today. Namaste one and all. I'm Suma Upin, Uttar Prant Ragna Pravaha Sayojiki. Veshti, Parameshti, and social institutions. These are the topics of discussion for today's session. I request the dignitaries. I request the dignitaries to please be seated. Sri Swami Anukulanandji, Director of Chinmaya Institution, Coimbatore. And Professor Neeraj Gupta ji, I request you to please come and take your seat. The Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University, and I request Dr. Hanumanthacharya Joshi ji, the Principal of Sharda Vilas College of Pharmacy, Mysuru. Namaste once again. It's my privilege to introduce the versatile personalities. First of all, I would like to introduce Sri Swami Anukulananda Swamiji, Director of Chinmaya Machine, who is deeply involved in the Chinmaya education movement. His work bridges the gap between traditional spiritual values and contemporary educational needs, a theme that aligns well with his work at Ekatma. From being chartered accountant to a life of Vedanta, he is also a zonal director of Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, which focuses on harnessing youth potential through dynamic spirituality. He is an accomplished Mridangam player and has performed on All India Radio and Doordarshan, reflecting his appreciation for Indian classical arts. His teachings focus on integrated education, which aims to provide holistic growth for students. His focus is on transforming the abstract concepts of Upanishads into actionable habits for the modern profession. On behalf of team Ekatma Manav Darshan. Now I would like to introduce one more prominent guest, Professor Neerja Gupta, Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University. She is notable for being the first woman to hold this permanent position at the university. She is a prominent academician and administrator in India who has a strong foundation in English literature and has authored several books and research papers. Professor Neerja Gupta ji has served as the Vice Chancellor of Sanchi University in Madhya Pradesh. This role aligns closely with your interest in Indian philosophy and Vedanta, as this Sanchi University focuses on integrating traditional Indian wisdom with modern education. She has been deeply involved in the study abroad program and has worked extensively on international academic collaborations and cultural exchange. I welcome Professor Neerja Gupta ji on behalf of you all. We have yet another important personality, Shri Dr. Hanumantacharya Joshi ji, the principal of Sharada Vilas College of Pharmacy, Mysore, and the Pragna Pravaha Vibhag Sanyojak, Mysore. So without much delay, let's move on to our first talk on social institutions. I request Professor Neerja Gupta ji, the Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University, to enlighten us.
नमस्ते, सादर वंदन। मंच पर उपस्थित आदरणीय स्वामी जी, आदरणीय प्रिंसिपल सर, परम आदरणीय प्रतिभागीगण, आमंत्रित अतिथिगण और युवाधन, आप सबको मेरा नमस्ते, प्रणाम, सादर वंदन। ये जो विषय मेरे आज प्रतिपादन के लिए आया है, विषय बहुत बहुत विराट है, क्योंकि हम बात करेंगे उन सामाजिक संस्थाओं की जो एक सभ्यता में अपना रोल बनाती हैं। और जब हम सभ्यता की बात करते हैं तो सभ्यता सहस्त्राब्दियों तक जाती है। It's a very, very, very vast topic when we talk about the social institutions and their civilizational legacy in any society. And when that any society is not less than Bharat, then one can understand that what type of social institutions we are talking. Because in Bharat, the society does not stop only being social. Everything and anything that is there, char achar, mam gyan thi sab jag upja, jeev charachar, bandhu maya. Now, when we include everything, then we have to be very, very delicate in dealing this topic, and that's why I found this topic to be really difficult and really very vast to cover up in a small time. I would like to begin with few lines of Adarniya Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji from his poem. He said, शोर से डूबे हुए स्वाधीनता के स्वर, रुद्रवाणी लेखनी जड़ कस मसाता उर भयांकित भीड़. These three lines, they take care of each component of society, be it economic, be it scientific, be it political, be it individual, or be it the, what we say, calculative. Why calculative? Because each unit is a result of calculation. The unit itself is a measurable term. When we say individual, that itself starts with some calculation. And when he says, शोर से डूबे हुए स्वाधीनता के स्वर, a very pragmatic line. Why does he depict a society where everything is trembling? Because as we remember, when the worst time came in Vajpayee ji's life, it was emergency period. But can we transmit these lines today? And can we broaden the Chiti and Virat and then transgress this to what is happening in the world? And then can we talk about social institutions? The reasons being that today the decisions are not being taken by the political parties or the rulers or the people who are governing us. Today is the war of resources, and resources which are owned by individuals. And when we say that, we don't have to go here and there, because there are two aspects, and Mananiya Nandkumarji Bhai Sahab, when he started his deliberations, he actually dealt with it in detail, and those two aspects are dynamic and kinetic. I would also like to quote him, but I would like to change the words. Because if I use English and say dynamic and kinetic, or dynamic or static, for me they become very limited. They don't mean that much. So I would like to replace these two words with the Indian words. And for what are the Indian words? The Indian words are Isthavar and Jangam. Isthavar is static and Jangam is dynamic. Any social institution is created out of individuals. And there are two aspects of any society, because out of the societies, the social institutions come. And these two particular, what is the basic? If we say dynamic and static with the Western world, okay, what is there? The dynamism there is capitalism, Marxism, socialism, and the static is materialism. Because it ultimately, judges the quantum of gain. Whatever ism they bring, they will talk of gain. But the moment we say Sthavar and Jangam, what is our avdharana? Our avdharana is Sthavar is Kalyana. It has to come to the welfare. Whether we talk Gandhi's Ramrajya, whether we talk about the fear what Vajpayee's poem says, or whether we talk about that Egyptian-born Israeli poetess Ada Ahorani, when she holds a teddy bear in the hand in one hand and a small boy's dead body in another hand, and writes a poem, Teddy Bear and the Guns. The mool bhavna is Kalyan. And what is Jangam? For us, the Jangam is Kartavya. And that Kartavya is called Dharma because that is dynamic as it is relative. For us, the dharma cannot be same for each individual and with each individual. So we need to understand that Bharatiya social institutions, they have at their bottom the feeling of Kalyan. I'll put 2-3 anecdotes here. The first one is about Sant Tukaram ji. Sant Tukaram used to deliver a pravachan every day near Godavari Tir, and there used to be a very beautiful lady who would daily come and who would sit and listen to that deliberation and then would leave. So slowly and gradually people started talking, noticing her, who is she, why is she coming, what is her purpose, and this and that. So one day Tukaram ji asked that lady कि देवी आप यहाँ क्यों आती हैं डेली? बोली आपके प्रवचन सुनने आती हूँ. बोले आप जाइए, आपको जो जहाँ से मिलना है मिल जाएगा, आप यहाँ मत आइए. तो उन्होंने देखा वो धीरे धीरे गई और गोदावरी में उतर गई. लोगों ने सोचा शायद ये शर्मिंदा हो गई हैं और अब ये हमेशा के लिए चली गई हैं. मगर अगले दिन के लेक्चर में वो फिर वहाँ बैठी थी. तो तुकाराम जी पूछते हैं आप कौन हैं? बोली संत, मैं स्थावर तीर्थ हूँ और आप जंगम तीर्थ हैं. आप जगह जगह जाकर वो देते हैं जो मैं एक जगह बहते बहते देती हूँ. अगर हम इस भावना को समझें, अगर हम इस शास्त्र को समझें, तो हम ये समझ पाएंगे कि हमारी जो सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं उसमें हमेशा ये जो दो एस्पेक्ट्स हैं इनमें कभी भी कहीं भी क्लैश नहीं होता है. जैसे हमारे परंपरा में एक शब्द है मुखिया. ये जो शब्द है ये एक परिवार के मुखिया से होते हुए राष्ट्र प्रमुख तक जाता है. वो राष्ट्र का मुखिया भी है, वो ग्राम देवता भी है, वो समाज का मुखिया भी है, लेकिन उसके डायनामिक्स चेंज होते रहते हैं क्योंकि वो जो मुखिया है वो आगे जाकर जब व्यक्ति आता है तो व्यक्ति, समष्टि और परमेष्टि इन तीनों की बात करता है. So our social institutions are geobiographically driven because the Gram Devta concept is a great equalizer. There we don't count about the jati, about the dharma, about the profession, about the gender. Each one from the house will go to have the worship for Gram Devta. And there is no confusion about Gram Devi or Gram Devta because they don't belong to any sect or religion or gender. That's how our social institutions are built up. And the first institution that is built up is Parivar. Because Parivar is and that is the reason, when we say why we were never shaken in any economic meltdown or any slaughter on our civilization or culture, the family stood firm. I give you an example of this so-called startups today. Each one who is connected with the university system would have heard this word startup. The concept of a startup is that there is a person who has an idea and that idea can be converted into commercial model and he needs a lab, he needs some efforts, she needs some money, and that's how that model is established. But again, the market is not ready to buy it, so you need a team so that it can reach to the market. So you need branding, you need accounting, you need performance, and performance means all performance, economic performance, psychological performance, market performance, everything. And then after some about 20-25 years, you come to know that the proprietor of the startup commits suicide. What happened? It became successful. It was there in the market. There were consumers. There were users. Why this went to such level of depression? The reason is that there is no parivar in that entire effort who can sustain the tensions of the profession. Look at the Bharatiya model of a startup. घर का एक बच्चा है, वो तैयार है बिजनेस करने के लिए, माँ गहने देती हैं, उससे कुछ लोन आता है, पिताजी दुकान किराए पे लेते हैं, चाचा दरी बिछाते हैं, बहन रोज दोपहर में जाके बैठती है कि तू खाना खा, शाम को दोस्त आता है अकाउंट लिख देता है। थोड़े दिन बाद उस बच्चे को रियलाइज होता है ये बिजनेस चल नहीं रहा है, वो बिजनेस बंद करते हैं और कोई दूसरा बिजनेस शुरू करते हैं। उस बच्चे के मुंह पे कोई शर्मिंदगी नहीं होती, उससे पूछते हैं अरे क्या हुआ, तुम्हारा तो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक की दुकान थी, बोलता है चली नहीं, अब दूसरी कपड़े की दुकान कर ली। Why? Because the entire family is together. There is no depression. The burden to become successful is not alone. The burden of not sharing is not killing that person from within. I am worried because today the student suicide has surpassed the number of suicide by the farmers. And what is the main reason? The main reason is non-sharing. My password, my mobile, my application, my account, my room. This my, why can't we understand there is nothing called my? For your my, someone else is sacrificing. And that someone else is either your friends or your family or your well-wisher. So this is making our situation, our generations all the more alone. And that's why we need to go and revisit our social institutions, how they were shaping up the societies, how they were bearing, that even a Samant, we had this Samant parampara. Normally we think Samant are for business, for carrying out the business activities. But Samantas were given the responsibility to create a Sena, to look after the religious institutions, to see the economic, temple economy, to look after the temples. So the Samanta's role was very, very big. And it was a big honor to become a Samant or a Shethiya or a Shreshthi. But with this so-called feudalism, so-called Western theory of feudalism, when there is a divide between the reaching out to the concepts, it was shown that this is feudalism, which is wrong for the society. So, where we have reached today कि जाति भी गलत है, समाज भी गलत है, भाषा भी गलत है, सब कुछ अपनी मर्जी से होना चाहिए. As the US says that the parents cannot write even the gender of a child till the child attains 12 years, because it is the child's right to decide whether the child will become a boy or a girl. We need to understand where we are leading with this individual liberty or anarchy or non-receipt of the values. So we need to understand that when we talk of Vyakti, Samashti and Parmeshti are not beyond that. They are integral out of it. I remember visiting a university. There was a very famous painter, Samuel Bach, and Samuel Bach had presented as one of the very famous paintings where it is the chess board. And the chess board is all, a very disturbed state. The board itself is torn out and everything. Now, what is this chess board? And they say, ये chess board तर्क दिखाता है और आज तर्क विच्छिन्न हो गया है, पर हमारी जिद है कि हम सब चीज़ों का सॉल्यूशन तर्क से ही करेंगे. Now it has led us today to a new theory of colonization. We have seen European colonization, we have seen Chinese colonization, and the new is coming up with the American colonization. European colonization was on gold, Chinese colonization was on land, and American colonization is on resources. We have to become alert in making our institutions strong, because institutions are not the passive giver. There is no one who is a ruler or शासक. ऐसे शब्द ही हमारे समाज से निकल जाने चाहिए. No one is a ruler. We are called public servant. These divides are very, very colonial. Unless we unite them and make them a unit, this sense of ownership will not come, and we'll keep on sitting and talking. Whatever is to be done by the government. We should be the beneficiary, and then the entire economic concept of public goods, it becomes free. And today we are going towards that more and more free, without understanding that in this world nothing comes free. Someone else has to pay for someone else free. Unless we connect the social institutions, the social welfare won't ever appear. Then the third pillar is temples and viharas. The duties of the temples and the duties of viharas are larger than anything, because again is Thavar and Jangam. The temple is not a static identity. The temple, it is like a predictive economy. It predicts that this year Kumbh Mela had 66 crores, the next Kumbh Mela may go to 90 crore. So it's very predictive about the trends, about the interest, about the inclusion, about the nature of the next time. And on that basis, the economy starts working, preparing even 10 years in advance. So temples have a larger role in making the villages prosper, in making the communities prosper. We have to revisit our theories of jati, dharma, samaj. Then only we would be able to understand for what chiti and what virat concept we are owning, whether we understand or not, whether someone tells us or not. We all are already the part of it. Then the last thing I would say, because the time is short, we don't work on the written words. हमारे लिए हर समय स्टैम्प पेपर नहीं ज़रूरी है, हर समय लिखित MOU ज़रूरी नहीं है. India has always worked on आबरू, on credits. हमारा शब्द ही बहुत है. कोई एक व्यापारी दूसरे को जब बोलता है मेरा इतना माल रख देना, तो उसका शब्द ही बहुत है. उसे कहीं एडवांस नहीं देना पड़ता, उसे आके चिट्ठी नहीं साइन करनी पड़ती, और वो उसकी आबरू से जुड़ा है. This standing is because we have very strong social institutions. You ask for any other foreign guild or foreign organization which had a system like Mahajans. We have a system like Mahajan, where if something is falling short for one person, the other would make it complete, and then when the time comes, the person will return it back to the person. So we are the pillars of each other. We don't go to bank every time to take loan for marriages, for new crops, for new infrastructure, for home or any other thing. Our families are enough. So with the family, how we build the nation, it is very, very important. And that's why I would like to end with only two things. One is what Ram said in Ayodhya Kand to Bharat, Mukhya muh so chahiye, khan pan sab ek. This is a very, very big sentence, that a Raja is not there for luxury. The Raja is not away from Samaj. It has to come and mix up with the pains and the happiness of the society. Just a second, I would like to end again with something with Bajpayee ji's poem. कुरान या बाइबल या शहीद की आत्मा, एक चर्च या एक मंदिर या एक काबा पत्थर, ये सब और अधिक भी मेरा दिल सहन कर सकता है, क्योंकि मेरा धर्म अकेला प्रेम है. Had it been a poem from any poet, I would have taken it only as a poem, but this comes from a Raj Nayak. This comes from a prime minister. This comes from a person who has lived in the society like a common person and who can understand what is the pain. So with this, I would stop my deliberation, but this is a truth that there is no match of the social institutions in our own existence, whether we like it or not, how much we shout my space or my password or my mobile. We know that there is entire family which is there with us, and that's how the social institutions are working in our country. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Professor Neerja Gupta ji, for your insightful talk. Veshti Parameshti is the topic of discussion now. I now request Sri Swami Anukulanand ji to enlighten us with his talk.
Now it's 4:40. So I can finish by then. Okay. Hari Om, Namaste, Pranams to all of you. I know I'm standing in front of great stalwarts in the field of academics, in the field of thinking, in the field of maneuvering the society towards greater and a better future. Thanks to this beautiful forum, which has given me the opportunity to study a little bit about this great, beautiful philosophy of integral humanism, Ekatma Manav Darshan. I come from Chinmaya Mission, founded by Pujya Swami Chinmayanand, who shares the same birth year as Pandit Deen Dayal ji. Unfortunately, Deen Dayal ji's life ended very, very quickly, and unfortunately so. Pujya Swami Chinmayanand ji lived 77 years serving humanity. Something very beautiful and very interesting is how the thoughts of Pujya Swami ji and the thoughts of Pandit ji resonated so clearly, because both of them were founded on the same foundations of the knowledge of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. So what is the first fundamental idea from which we take this concept of Vyashti and Parameshti, and of course Samashti? So the Bhagavad Gita has this one very, very, very important line, and the line is Tasmat Shastram Pramanamte. Karya Akarya Vyavasthitau. In what should be done and what should not be done, in what is permissible and what is not permissible, who is the authority? Today the world is going in a way where everybody is authority. Publishing is not difficult because there is no printing charges also, because you can just type and put it on social media. But what is the authority? The authority is said to be the Shastra. So now when we ask what is the Shastra and what does the Shastra reflect, the Shastra reflects the lived experiences of great people who lived their life most amazingly and who shaped the destiny of the entire generation. So ours is a civilization which has lived, experimented, documented, understood, and recorded the knowledge for the future to live by. So therefore, freedom of thought of course, is fundamental to our culture. Questioning and inquiry is also fundamental to our culture. But baseless, thoughtless, and inquiry without a knowledge foundation leads people to greater blindness rather than to light. So therefore the Upanishad says, Andhena niyamanaha yathandaha. So we can follow things, we can go on an inquiry, yes, but we have to go on an inquiry based on what? So therefore the Shastras becomes the Pramana, and this is the foundation of Indian thought. So when that becomes the foundation, the idea of Vyashti, Samashti and Parameshti is understood in this light. And why it is important is because of the concept of karma also. Because ultimately life, the signature of life is action. There is only one place where we don't act, and that is the graveyard. But otherwise, human life is known, understood by action, karma. And fortunately or unfortunately, karma has its phala, has its result. So therefore, the individual, the Vyashti, ultimately has to go through, has to experience the results of the actions. So when we analyze what is the results of the action, the actions are done by individuals, and a collective of individual actions becomes samashti action. Because though an individual may perform a particular action, the resultant collective action of the samashti, that Vyashti also has to go through. So karma works in two ways, and that needs to be understood. Karma works in the way of what a person individually becomes and the circumstances or the situations that the person is put in. So the way karma works is, I may be a person who is interested, for example, in sports. I am a good cricketer, let us say, but I am born in a country where people don't know the spelling of cricket. So then what happens? I have the orientation towards cricket, but I am present in a place where there are no opportunities. So then my struggle becomes more. So the collective of that particular community has the effect on me to struggle harder in order to reach my goals and aims. The best example is elections, to understand Vyashti and Samashti. As an individual, each one of us may decide to vote for a particular person, considering that that particular person is the best for our society. Whatever we vote for is fine, but the resultant person who is going to sit, who is going to get elected, is based on the Samashti election. And whatever that person does after that is enjoyed or suffered by us also, irrespective of whom we voted for. So therefore, the Vyashti, the individual, has to make right decisions, no doubt, but the resultant impact of the action is also determined by the collective. So no Vyashti, no individual can say, I am not responsible for the collective. The collective also is the individual's responsibility. So therefore, the Vyashti and the Samashti together determine what is going to be the Samashti's enjoyment or what is going to be the Samashti's suffering. So the Vyashti and Samashti are integrated in this way in terms of the karmas they do as well as the result of the karmas that they enjoy or suffer together. So what is told to the individual? The individual is taught to do three things which the Bhagavad Gita says should never be forsaken. The three things that Bhagavad Gita says is yajna, dana, tapa, na tyajyam, karyameva tat. These three are told for the Vyashti. So the Vyashti is supposed to do these three things, yajna, dana and tapa. Panditji also speaks so much about the understanding of yajna. We will come to that. But first, the Vyashti has to live a life of tapas. What is tapas? In another word, it is called yoga. So life has two channels. One channel is called bhoga and the other channel is called yoga. Two modes. So that's the channel of bhoga. Nobody has to teach us. Does somebody has to teach us to be more sensory in nature, to be more indulgent in nature? Nobody has to teach us. But in case we want to develop, we want to become better, we want to be inspired by a higher goal and we want to achieve something greater, then the individual has to live a life channelizing their potential to a higher cause. So thus by sacrificing, by giving up the lower and choosing the higher is a life of tapas. So therefore the person has to live the life of yoga. Bhagavan Shri Krishna in his, if you ask what is the message Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna ultimately, I keep thinking, what did finally Shri Krishna tell? There is one phrase where Sri Krishna says, Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. He tells Arjuna to become a yogi. Arjuna was not a sannyasi. Arjuna wanted to leave everything and run away and sit in the forest, but Arjuna was told to work in the world, and working in the world, Arjuna is asked to be a yogi. We all know of the great American dream. But what is the great Indian dream? The great Indian dream is what Sri Krishna tells all of us, become yogis. Imagine each one of us sitting here are capable of becoming yogis. Yogis are those who have mastered their life, who have mastered themselves and achieved the greatest possibility. Those are called yogis, and each one of us are capable of that. So as Vyashtis, we have to live up to that expectation of the Indian thought, to live the life of yoga and to become yogis, and therefore tapas is important. Second, when tapas is developed, then that gives us resources, that gives us strength. That strength has to be put for the welfare and benefit of everybody along with us in the concept of yajna. So yajna in its concept itself brings the samashti in thought, and therefore any organic system lives as one totality and no individual can live by themselves. So therefore, even in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, the one who takes the result of an action for themselves without giving the others, stena evasaha. That person is none other than a thief. So therefore, even in our pujas, we are taught from childhood, first give prasad to others, and yajna shishta, whatever is remaining after giving to people, what you take, that will bless you. don't keep prasad for yourself first and distribute the rest. That is not what is taught to us, because in the well-being of the samashti, the vyashti is also taken care of. So second, work together in the concept of yajna in alignment and in attunement with the totality, and that is the concept of yajna. And when work is done in cooperative endeavor, when work is done as a collective together, then the results that come out of it, share with everybody, and then whatever you get, in that offer dana. Because still there will be people in the society, there will be even organisms, living things in the society which require our support for the time being. So therefore, to support even those who are suffering, after receiving the prasad of the yajna, one should offer dana. So in the Tirukural, there is a beautiful Kural. Tirukural is a great text in Tamil, where it is said, a person should eat food after having served the requirement of the poor people. Such a householder is a great householder. That is what is said. So thus, as an individual, one should have yajna, dana and tapa as their orientation of life. Second, when it comes to the samashti is the reflection of the vyashti. So Swami Chinmayananji used to say, world transformation through individual transformation. Because the collective samashti is nothing but the totality of the individuals. And thus, we cannot work on the samashti unless we work on the vyashti. So thus, working on the vyashti, changing their attitude, changing their behavior, changing their culture, changing their choices, we can change the nature of the samashti. And third, finally, we have the samashti being organized by certain people, certain individuals of the samashti, and they are called leaders. So those people who have the capacity, who have the ability, who have the strength, who have the vision, are given the opportunity not to guide the destiny of the entire society of the samashti. So therefore, as much as we are training and teaching the vyashti, the individual, to have collective vision, the Raja of the society has to have greater abilities of serving the society. Swami Chinmayananji, when he was asked, so you are the head of Chinmaya Mission. Swamiji would always say, I am not the head of the Chinmaya Mission, I am the sevak of the Chinmaya Mission. So Swamiji would say, I am the first sevak, pradhan sevak. So thus, the Raja, the leader, is not the ruler, but the Raja is the sevak of the samashti. So thus, with the understanding, with the discipline, with the commitment, and with the attitude of seva, when they take up their work, then the Raja becomes beneficial to the samashti. But if the Raja has the idea of self-profit, self-aggrandizement, such a Raja becomes a curse for the samashti. And let us also remember the choice of the Raja or the person becoming the Raja is also the prarabdha of the samashti because of the choice of the majority of the Vyashtis. So the Vyashtis have to be it is said yatha Raja tatha praja, but let us also remember yatha praja tatha Raja. Both are true. Because it is the collective of the Vyashtis who is choosing the samashti Raja, is it not? And thus let each Vyashti take responsibility for the choices they make, plus also influence the choice of the other Vyashtis to make right choices. I am doing right, I do not bother about what other people are doing is not enough if the collective has to live well. We have to take responsibility for ourselves and we have to take responsibility for the collective also. We cannot say, let the leaders decide all that. I am not a leader, so I cannot do anything. Each one of us are leaders in our own right and in our own influence. And if we do not use that influence, then the collective also suffers. And when the collective suffers, we also suffer. Finally, we have this great, amazing reality, the truth as Parameshti. Bhagavan is very, very interesting. Bhagavan has one word that he says. And the word he says is Tathastu. Tathastu, may it be so. Let it be so. So therefore, I don't know whether some of you must be aware that in the evening time, our parents used to tell us these Tathastu Devatas are there. And they continuously go around saying Tathastu, Tathastu, Tathastu. So our parents used to tell us in the evening times, be very careful about what you are asking for. Because the Tathastu Devata will come and tell Tathastu. And whatever you ask for, that will happen. So be very careful. This is not only true for the Sandhya Kala, it is true for every moment for the Samashti. Whatever the Samashti asks for, the Parameshti says Tathastu. So therefore, it is very important that the collective consciousness, the Chiti of the Samashti, is guided in the right direction through right education of the Vyashti. The right education of the Vyashti will happen when the education is based on the pramana of the Shastras. Now you see how everything is linked. So the pramana is the Shastras, based on which education of the Vyashti has to happen, based on which the collective samashti will make choices and will perform karmas by which the Parameshti will bless them with the right results. So thus, as a collective whole, with a greater vision, with higher possibilities manifesting, the society will go ahead. So invoking the totality through samashti choices, may the Vyashti live happily in this world, taking the Shastras as their pramana. With this, I will conclude. In case we have to take questions, we will meet again. Thank you. Namaste.
Heartfelt pranamas, Swamiji, for enlightening us. I request Dr. Hanumantacharya Joshi ji to offer Gaurav Samarpana to Swami Anukulananda ji. I also request him to felicitate Professor Neeraja Gupta ji. I thank all the dignitaries for their wonderful talk. Thank you so much, dear audience. Here we are done with this session. Iga 10 ನಿಮಿಷ break irutte. Soon after that, we have Kamsale Pradarshan, and later we have panel discussion on Loka Sangraha. So I request all the delegates to come back and take your seats within 10 minutes. Thank you so much.